Blessed One, shine.
Good evening everyone, welcome to the centre. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Reminder to turn phones off or put on silent please. And just a little update on this, if anyone's interested, it's Saturday the 4th of Jan, it doesn't have a date written on it, so that's first Saturday next year. So that'll be great. For those of you who don't know Pauline, she's fantastic teacher, yeah, really good teachings, so that's a good one there. Okay, thank you.
It's the night before Christmas. Thank you. So, as a special treat, we're going to talk about emptiness, meditate on emptiness tonight. So, I want to start by, we start with liberating prayer, and then we'll talk.
O Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my mental continuum. Please nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you, may all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dharma flourish forevermore.
And so we'll meditate. So sitting in good meditation posture, try to have a straight back. You can place the back of your right hand in the palm of your left and just relax your hands into your lap. And gently close your eyes or have them very slightly open. And gently close your mouth so you breathe naturally through the nostrils. Just imagine that the whole world outside of this room just disappears into empty space. So it's as if this whole room is all that remains, as if it's alone in empty space. And then bring your mind even further inwards, just to watch a feeling at the tip of your nose as you breathe in and out. You may notice it feels cool as you breathe in and warm as you breathe out. Just try to focus your whole mind on that feeling at the tip of your nose. And if you can hold your mind there with that feeling, you notice your mind becomes still. And from this stillness comes a deep feeling of peace and contentment. So now turn your mind to any feelings of peace and contentment that you have. You may realize that just allowing your mind to become still, that this peace and contentment just naturally arises. So try to remember any feelings of peace and contentment that you have, because you can have them again anytime. Eventually you will be able to experience peace and contentment all the time. So now you can begin to relax your concentration, and then when you're ready you can arise from meditation. So I want to talk a little bit about explain to you the nature of mind. Your mind, and we have a mind and we have a body, and in dependence upon the appearance of our mind and body, we create a thought. Me. This is me. This is my body. This is my mind. And then we create the thought me, and we have a name. But our mind and our body are two different things. body is a physical thing, but our mind is not. Our mind is just like empty space. But because it is empty space, then you can get big things into it. You can't get big things into your head. You can't get a house into your head. You can't get an elephant into your head. Too small. But you can think of an elephant. An elephant can appear in the vast space of your mind. A whole continent can appear in the vast space of your mind. The whole planet, the whole universe can appear in the vast space of your mind. So you come to realize that the mind is simply like empty space. But unlike the empty space that you see in this room or outside in the sky, the space of your mind, the empty space of your mind, functions. It functions, it does things. It knows things, it understands things, and it experiences things. Yeah, and we do all that. That knowing, that experiencing, that understanding, we're doing it with our mind, not with our body. It's important to think about these two different aspects of who we are, a body and a mind. And it's our mind that's doing all the work of knowing and understanding things. So, the problem that we have is that when we see and perceive things, they all appear to be completely separate from our mind. It seems like everything that we know, it seems like our mind is here and everything that we know and experience and understand is out there. Yeah? You don't think, for example, that I'm in your mind. Do you? This is not how we think of things. We think your mind is over there and I'm over here. And there's a gap, there's a distance between us. Yeah? But here's the problem. If we only know things with our mind, we only experience things with our mind, then anything that we know and experience and understand, is it outside our mind or is it inside? Outside or inside? Yeah. Hands up the outsiders. Hands up the insiders. Yeah, you realize that you understand that anything that we're experiencing, because we do it with our mind, it must be inside our mind. Like this whole room and everything in it, all the people in it, must be inside your mind. And that can only happen because your mind its nature is vast space-like emptiness. No shape, no form, no color, no boundaries. So we come to realize that everything that we know must be inside our mind. But that's not how we see, that's not how we normally see things, is it? Yeah, we normally see things as outside our mind. Like I said, our mind is here and everything we see is over there. So in the West we talk about objective reality. Everything that is real is out there. And this is the subject. You're the subject. And your task is to get to know all the objects, including other people. Because you want to be happy. Your basic wish is to be happy. And if you think that everything is out there, then you seek happiness out there. You examine the qualities of everything, everyone, everything, like chocolate. You examine all the qualities, and then you decide, oh, this particular object makes me feel good, this particular object makes me feel bad, And all these other objects in the middle neither make me feel good nor bad, so I'm not that interested, I don't care much about them. And this is how we kind of divide up the world, isn't it? We divide up the people in the world, particularly people that we like. Why do we like people? Because they make us feel good. And why do we dislike people? Because they make us feel bad. And so we're judging all the living beings in the world, your mice, snakes, lions and tigers, etc., etc. Everything according to how it makes us feel. Yeah. So, what do we do to the things, the objects and people that we like, that seem to give us nice feelings? What do we do then? We grasp at them, we capture them, imprison them, keep them close. And the ones that give us the bad feelings, what do? We want to get rid of them. And in the reject them, yes. And how do we reject them? We humiliate them, hurt them physically, mentally, speak badly about them, speak badly to them, and so on and so forth. And then all the other ones, we praise them and exaggerate our feelings and try to make ourselves more attractive to them so they'll stick around and so on. And so we exaggerate our good qualities, we hide all our unpleasant qualities, and then so persuading people to stay around. And in the process, we're engaging all these negative deception just in order to get what we want, but we're engaging these minds of deception and wishing to cause hurt and harm to other people. It's all negative behavior. Yeah. And you heard of karma? You heard the word karma? We engage in negative, hurtful actions, and then we experience the results of those actions. Everything arises from causes. And all of our experiences, therefore, are caused by our own actions. This is karma. All of our experiences, without exception. If we're having a good time, it's because we engaged in past actions that caused benefit to other people, made them happy. We're having a hard time, then it's because we hurt other people in the past, we caused other people problems in the past. And it's that simple. Yeah. So what if you really understood this relationship between cause and effect? What if you really understood it? What would you do? If you wanted to be, if you really wanted to be happy all the time and not have any problems and difficulties, well, what's your best strategy? Stop causing harm to other people. Clean up your act. Practice moral discipline. The moral discipline of just holding yourself back from all your negative tendencies that wish to punch people in the face, you know. Yeah. Do you have anybody like that? So, you just hold ourselves back, and gradually those negative tendencies will just disappear because we're not responding to them. These negative aspects of our mind, we're not responding to them, and so eventually they'll just disappear. And also part of moral discipline is looking for opportunities to bring benefit to other people. So we instead of wishing to cause harm, we wish to help other people and help them to be happy, help them to be free of their problems and difficulties. So if we do these things, we do these two things, then we will be living a meaningful life. So, and gradually the process of wishing to help and develop the happiness of others is a mind of love. So just simply from the practice of moral discipline, we begin to be enabled to practice a mind of love. Our mind of love grows, and our wish to harm other people diminishes. And so we're just gradually becoming a better person, because we understand the law of karma, this relationship between our own actions and our own experiences. And we have a wish to be happy ourselves, be free of problems and difficulties. Okay, so what if, however, the practice of moral discipline will certainly help us along this path to become a completely pure person, so we're able to enjoy happiness and peace all the time. But we still have some bad mental habits. It may take a while to get rid of all these mental habits just by practicing moral discipline. Because we've engaged in negative actions as well as positive actions in all our past lives. And the problem with karma also is that every time we engage in an action, we strengthen the tendency to repeat that action. So if you have a strong tendency to use hurtful speech, for example, do you ever get sarcastic? Ever been sarcastic? Oh, I'm sure no. So, sarcasm is a kind of mild form of anger. Yeah. And so, if we've engaged in a lot of sarcasm in the past, then we've created a strong tendency just to continue to repeat that sarcasm. So it may take a while before we get rid of that, before we just abandon sarcasm and anger completely. But what if our basic premise that there exist pleasant people or pleasant objects out there that make us feel good, and then unpleasant people and unpleasant objects out there that make us feel bad? Well, that's our basic premise on deciding, how we're going to respond to other people. But what if that's wrong? What if our whole idea of how things exist is completely wrong? Our idea that things exist completely separate from our mind. Then we begin to realize, well, if everything is part of my mind and there's nothing out there, then where are the qualities that we impose upon other people? Where's the meaning coming from that we place on other people and other objects? Where is it coming from? Is it from their side? Or is it from our side? It's from our side. So we come to understand then that we place a negative meaning on some things because we have a negative mind. And we place a positive meaning on other things because we have a positive mind for some things. We have preferences. And so the way in which we exercise these mental preferences arise in the choices that we make in relationship to what's appearing in our life. Oh, I like this, I don't like that. But what if there is no that in either case? There's neither that one or that one doesn't exist. It's simply an appearance to our mind. That's a problem, isn't it? But this is, we're beginning to address the real basis of all our difficulties and all our problems. It's called self-grasping. We grasp at a self and everyone and everything else as existing in exactly the way in which it appears to us. Yeah. And that's our normal way of thinking, that the way things appear to us, that's how they exist. But you've all virtually agreed that everything exists within our mind. Yeah? Logically, everything exists within our mind, but that's not how we perceive things. We perceive things as existing separate from our mind. And because of that mistake, then all our preferences arise. All our delusions arise, all our jealousy, all our desires, attachment, all our anger arises because of that mistake. So how are we going to get over this problem? In a way, it's very simple. The essence of Geshe-la's teachings on wisdom is that the things, in this one sentence, the things we normally see do not exist. The things we normally see do not exist. And that includes ourself. The self I normally see doesn't exist. Ooh. What this actually means is that the things that exist, that appear to exist out there, do not exist. But there's still things appearing to my mind. And they exist. But how do they exist? Simply as appearances to my mind. Okay. So this whole room, if you're experiencing this whole room, all it is something that's appearing in your mind. Like, have you ever had dreams? Do you remember your dreams? You remember? Do you remember when you were on this beautiful beach? Yeah, no? Or you just have nightmares all the time? So, whether you have nightmares or beautiful dreams, when you're waking up, you realize it wasn't real. It wasn't real. There's no person with a chainsaw in your room. There's no sand or water lapping on the edge of your bedroom. There's just an appearance to your dreaming mind. It didn't exist. So what Buddha is saying, and the implication of what we've been talking about, if everything is just appearance, then it's exactly the same when we're so-called awake. That things are simply appearances, and they do not exist from their own side. They do not really exist. So if you come to that, if you were to understand that and experience that, it would be great. You just relax. Oh, all my problems just disappear. Yeah. And the whole world becomes amazing. Just because you decide it's amazing. Everything is beautiful. Because you decide it's beautiful. Because it's coming from your beautiful, peaceful mind. When your mind is so peaceful, what's appearing to your peaceful mind? A peaceful world. So you come to realize that by understanding and experiencing this wisdom of emptiness of all phenomena, then we can create a peaceful world from the inside out. First, we create our own peaceful mind. We get rid of all the causes of our negative, unpeaceful minds, all the delusions. First, by just practicing things like moral discipline, practicing becoming more loving and considerate and compassionate towards others. And then, in the process, we're overcoming something that is like the other side of this coin. Self-grasping ignorance is one side, and self-cherishing ignorance is the other side. So, who's the person who's most important in your life? Don't say my children. It's yourself. Yeah. Who do you, if you're on the Titanic, who would you want to get onto the lifeboat first? It'd be yourself. You want to get onto the lifeboat yourself. You want to make sure you get on the lifeboat. Often at the cost of other people. So when we cherish ourselves, then all these delusions become rampant. All the negative behavior becomes rampant because, when we see other people, it's almost like a competition. It's like we're all competing for a happiness that is, difficult to find. And when we cherish ourselves, that our wishes are supremely important. Your wishes are not so important. Yeah. It's almost as if there's a fixed amount of happiness to go around. And so because everybody wants to be the most happy, everybody's trying to get a biggest slice of the happiness that's available. So imagine if there's just one whole chocolate cake, and there's 3 people, you and 2 friends. So how do you decide? You're going to cut the chocolate cake into 3 pieces. How do you decide to cut the chocolate cake? Is it 3 equal pieces or 2 small pieces and 1 big piece? And how do you choose? If there's 2 small pieces and 1 big piece, how do you choose? Do you choose the small piece and give the big piece to other people? Or do you just, because you want the most happiness, and chocolate cake is your source of happiness, you choose the big piece? But in the process, you create unhappiness. Because the other people involved, because they're left with the smaller pieces and they can see it, they feel diminished because they feel you haven't cared for them. They feel you haven't cherished them. You just cherished yourself. And secondly, we know chocolate cake is not a true source of happiness. Yeah. But what if we cut 2 big pieces and 1 small piece? And then we take the small piece to ourselves. And then there's 2 big pieces for other people. That is a win-win situation. The other 2 win because they get most of the chocolate cake. Yeah? Because they think they've been cherished as well. And you win because your action of cherishing others is your source of happiness. Chocolate cake is not a source of happiness. It's the mind of love that is the source of happiness. We were in class the other night, and I said, there's nothing out there that is a real, true source of happiness. And a woman disagreed with me. And she said, yes, there is. I said, well, what is it? She says, my children. I said, well, it's not your children. It's your love for your children that is your source of happiness. Children are true sources of suffering. Anyone who has children knows this. And just think of the suffering that you caused your parents. So, you understand that this mind of cherishing others is a source of happiness, because it's a mind of love. But cherishing oneself is self-defeating, because it just leads to arrogance and jealousy and uncontrolled desires and anger, and it leads us to engage in all the actions to pursue our own wishes, and then we create more suffering. We create the cause of more suffering, and so it goes on. We die, we take rebirth into another life, and we do the same all over again. We haven't got rid of this mind of self-grasping and self-cherishing. But what we need to do is, if we come to realize emptiness, which is like everything that we perceive, has no existence from its own side. Everything that we perceive has no existence from its own side. Everything is simply appearance and nothing else. And we're not denying existence. Of course things exist, but the real issue is, how do they exist? And it's not out there. It's simply as appearances to our own mind. If we were able to understand this, we then realize that all the meaning that we impose on other people and everything comes from our own mind. And then we can simply decide that everyone is amazing. Instead of thinking about other people's faults, we just decide everybody's amazing. Because we can do that, because there's nothing coming from the side of the person. So you're all amazing. Isn't that great? Doesn't matter what size you are, doesn't matter what you've done in the past, doesn't matter how you appear, etc., etc. You're all amazing. Yeah. So imagine if you think like this all the time. Every person you meet or appears to you, because a meeting is just an appearance and nothing else. Every person that appears to you, every animal, insect, fish, bird, whatever, is just beautiful and amazing. Yeah, it stimulates this beautiful feeling inside, and you spend your whole day just being blissed out all the time. And that's what's on offer with Buddha's teachings. Is you understand there's two aspects of Buddha's teachings. One is compassion, developing a mind of love and compassion towards everyone, which is defeating this self-cherishing mind. Because the more we love other people, the less we work for our own benefit all the time. And then there's the mind of wisdom that really undercuts through all the mistaken minds that we have, all the anger, all the jealousy, all the uncontrolled desires. We get rid of all that stuff. And what we're left with is just pure love, compassion, and wisdom, understanding the real nature of things, how everything is just appearance. Let me read a little bit, if I can read. So this is from page 217 of How to Transform Your Life. And it's a section that begins, what is emptiness? Emptiness is the way things really are. It is the way things exist as opposed to the way they appear. We naturally believe that the things we see around us, such as tables, chairs, houses, are truly existent. And true existence means that they exist in the same way as they appear. Now, because they appear out there, we come to realize that they don't exist out there. They simply exist as appearances. And those appearances are inside our mind, not outside. So there's nothing outside. Everything that appears to us is inside and not outside. And yet, because they appear to be outside, then all our appearances are mistaken. They're mistaken. If we realize that when we stop grasping outside, we stop trying to grasp and acquire stuff, and we stop being disappointed when we can't get stuff, and so on. We come to realize that everything that appears in our life is a result of, begins with K, karma. Everything that's appearing, whether it's conventionally pleasant or conventionally unpleasant, is appearing as the result of our own past actions. So if you don't like what's appearing, just clean up your act. Although things appear directly to our senses to be truly or inherently existent, inherent existence means from their own side. In reality, all phenomena lack or are empty of true existence, empty of true existence, or empty of existing from their own side. So that's the nature of emptiness. There's the things that we normally see, that's the things out there, existing from their own side, they don't exist. But things exist as mere appearances and nothing else. Or mere name. Mere name. If you ask yourself, what lies behind your name? What's behind your name? We have a body and you have a mind, but emptiness applies to both them as well. Your body is just a mere appearance and your mind is just a mere appearance. So what's left? Just a name. So, then you can ask yourself, well, who's getting angry? Who is there to be angry? Who is there to be upset? Who is there to be grasping at things which don't exist anyway? And then and who is it there to have pleasant feelings? Who is there to have unpleasant feelings? You just begin to realize that everything is just appearance and nothing more. Or mere name. So later on Geshe-la says, but with this mere name we can communicate with others. We can use these mere names just to communicate with others. Okay, so we'll do a little experiment. We'll do a couple of experiments. If all phenomena, including ourselves and every other person, every other inanimate object, is empty of existing from their own side. But that's not the way we see things. We seem to think that everything exists truly. Everything exists truly. When we have a true self, we have a true body, and so on and so forth. And we have true friends and so on, and they exist in exactly the way in which they appear. So if your self, or better still, if your body exists in exactly the way in which it appears, you'd be able to find it if you search for it, right? Yeah. Yes? If it exists solidly, independently of everything else, uniquely, unaffected by anything, not affecting anything, just existing in exactly the way in which it appears, you'll be able to find it. If something exists, you can find it if you search. So try and find your body. If you point to your body, that is your body and nothing else. Has to be your body and nothing else. Nobody wants to do this experiment. Come on, indulge me. No, what's this? Normally we do something like this, but this is not my body. I'm pointing at my chest, and my chest is part of my body, but it's not my body. Part of something is not a thing. So anything I can point to here is just part of my body, but it's not my body. So where is my body? Is my body over here? It's on the top of this table. You can't see a body that's separate from all its parts. But it's not one of the parts. It's not separate from all the parts. And some people will say, well, it's all the parts put together, the collection of parts. But if you're saying that it's something called a collection that exists separate from its parts, then if we take away all the parts, then the collection should remain. But if we take away all the parts of my body, there's nothing here. Nothing left that remains. So collection is just a notion, a concept, a mental construct. So my body is not one of the parts. It's not the collection of parts. It's not separate from the parts. And all we find is we can't find the body that I normally see, that I normally think of. And it's the same for you. If you go on a search for your body, you won't find it. You find other things that are not your body, but you won't find your body. Because body is simply a mental construct. And yet, we cling to this body so much, and we treasure it so much. We spend so much money, keeping it going and polishing it and covering it in all kinds of exotic things, just for our own enjoyment mainly, or for other people's enjoyment. And we can't find it when you go on a search. And that unfindability is leading us towards realizing the emptiness of our body. The emptiness of our body. And then the same applies to ourself. When we look for ourself, if you try and point to yourself, normally again we do this. But this again is just, I'm pointing to my body. And I've just discovered that our body doesn't really exist. And the same with self, because we say my body. Me is the owner of body. Yeah? You say my body. And you say my mind. I made up my mind and changed my mind. So you're implying that there's an entity which is me or myself that is the owner of my body and my mind. So where is that person? Where is that self? Where is that me? It's neither of body and it's not mind. It's not body and it's not mind. And you can't exist. You could say, well, my real self is on a beach in the Bahamas, but my body and mind are in Liverpool, sunny Liverpool. So that doesn't make any sense. You cannot think of yourself without thinking of either your body or your mind at the same time. Yeah? You agree with me? As soon as you try to think of yourself, either your body or your mind is appearing. So you can't have a self that exists separate from body and mind. But it's neither of these two, and it's not the collection of these two either. So you come to realize that the self you normally see, that doesn't exist either. You come to realize that the body you normally see doesn't exist, and then that applies to the self you normally see doesn't exist. And then it applies to other people's selves as well. You try and find somebody else's self, you see their body and aspects of their mind, but you can't find their self. You can find their name. You know, I can find my own name. But apart from that, nothing. And so we come to realize that ourself and everything else, including all other living beings, exist merely as appearances or mere name. So what we should do is just meditate on it and get the feeling that arises when you discover this emptiness of yourself. So again, sitting in good meditation posture. Begin by having a clear image of the self that you normally see. And you realize it's something to do with your body, the way your physical form appears. But it's also something to do with your history, your relationships with other people, your relationships with place, your relationships with the things you enjoy. And then when you're thinking of yourself, you may notice that it seems to exist just out there, separate from your mind. It seems to have its own existence. Sometimes it's quite difficult to get a clear image of yourself. But it appears most easily when you have an extreme of emotion. So like extreme of fear, or extreme of elation, or extreme of anger, or feeling humiliated or something. So if you find it difficult to have a clear image of yourself, just imagine you're falling from a high place. You're not just thinking, my body is falling. You're thinking, I'm falling. It's me who's going to perish. So if you have a clear image of yourself, and you actually exist in that way, if we search in every possible place, we'll be able to find it, if it exists. But if we can't find it, you have to conclude that it doesn't exist. So first we look within the body. It's very easy to see there's no single part of your body that is yourself. Your skin is not yourself. Your eyes are not yourself. Neither of your limbs is yourself. Your torso, your inner organs, none of these things is yourself. And also we say, my body. Body is the thing that is owned, and self, or me, is the owner. And they cannot be the same. So we cannot say that I am my body. And then we look within the mind. But again we say, my mind. I change my mind. Again implying that self is the owner of mind. And again they cannot be the same. And so the only place left to look is for a self that exists somehow or other, separate from body and mind. But again, you cannot think of yourself without either your body or your mind appearing at the same time. And so we've searched in every possible location, within the body, within the mind, separate from body and mind. But we've not found the self that we normally see. All we've found is it is unfindable. And if you turn your mind back to the image of yourself that you had at the beginning of this meditation, once you realize that that self that I normally see is unfindable, therefore it does not exist, because I've searched every possible location. Therefore it doesn't exist. And when you realize that that image of yourself begins to dissolve into empty space, it's like your self is becoming hollow, with all that remains like an outline of light, and then even the outline of light disappears into space. So where before there was a solidly existing self, now there is only empty space. And you can think, this is the emptiness of myself. This emptiness is the lack of myself existing from its own side. The lack of inherent existence of myself. So place your mind on that empty space and just think, this is the only true nature of me, my emptiness. This is the only true nature of me, or the ultimate nature of me, my emptiness. Just hold that emptiness in your mind for a while. Sometimes a feeling of great joy arises as you realize all your problems are disappearing. Sometimes it seems like fear, as if nothing exists. Either of these is perfectly fine. And then finally, you can ask yourself, who is it who's meditating on the emptiness of myself? Who is meditating on the emptiness of myself? And perhaps the answer comes. A mere thought. Me. Or a mere name. And nothing else. And so we come to the realization, the self that I normally see, that exists out there, doesn't exist. And all there is a mere thought, me, and my name. So now you can begin to relax your concentration. And when you're ready, you can arise from meditation. So what we can understand from this is there's not just one truth. Normally when we see an object that appears to be out there, we think that's how it exists, that's its true existence, that's its one truth. But now we begin to understand that the ultimate nature of what we see is just emptiness. And that emptiness is its ultimate truth. And its appearance is conventional truth. So these two truths is very radical way of thinking. If you think about it, things have never been inherently existent or existing from their own side, because everything we know is part of our mind and not outside. Things have never been outside our mind. They're not now and they never will be. So this notion of inherent existence just doesn't exist. Never has existed. Not now, not ever. And you see how every living being makes this mistake. How our minds are always mistaken until we begin to realize this wisdom. That there's not just one truth, there's two truths. One is the ultimate nature of things. When everything has an ultimate nature, which is its emptiness. And also it has an appearance, and that appearance is part of our mind, and that's conventional truth. It's a lot to think about, but you just have, we need to hear this teaching over and over again, or we need to read about it over and over again. If you have this text, I would encourage you to read the chapter on ultimate bodhicitta. If you have modern Buddhism, same chapter, ultimate bodhicitta. In either of this same chapter, in either of those texts, so I would encourage you to read it, so that you can gain some feeling, some understanding, and once you do this, then your own self-grasping will begin to diminish. And as your self-grasping diminishes, so your delusions, your anger, your jealousy, uncontrolled desire will also diminish. And so eventually you just be free. And just abide in a state of peace and happiness all the time. Won't that be cool? And then you find yourself just giving the whole chocolate cake away all the time, because you know it doesn't really exist anyway. Making other people happy all the time. And in the process, making yourself happy. Okay? Any questions? We'll address this issue of emptiness again in the coming year. So don't, read that chapter, think about it, contemplate it. It takes a while before you actually get it. The thing, when we're out of meditation, Buddha's advice was, view everything as like a dream. So, difficult situation arises, your employer comes to you and says, I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go. And you think, oh, this is just like a dream. How fortunate I am. Or some really good situation occurs, you've just won the lottery, and you just say, oh, this is just like a dream. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to get excited about. So you begin to realize that your happiness comes from this mind of inner peace. And this wisdom is helping you find that inner peace. Okay. Well, have a wonderful Christmas. If you're wondering about what to do, come to Manjushri. There's a great course going on there. A great teacher. That's me, by the way. I can laugh. Also, on the 4th of January, we have Pauline Kinraid, who's giving a course on meditation, the peace of meditation. Half-day course on Saturday, the 4th of January. And then the following weekend is the start of 3 weekends of retreat. The first weekend is on purification practice with Buddha Vajrasattva. Second weekend is on emptiness. The third weekend is on something called Mahamudra. Mahamudra is the Great Seal. It's Buddha's highest teachings. It's like the union of conventional and ultimate truth, or the union of appearance and emptiness. Okay, and then special gift on the 3rd of April next year is Genla Kelsang Dekyong, who is the General Spiritual Director of our whole tradition, who was the first resident teacher of this center, who established this place 30 years ago. She's coming to give a public talk in St. George's Hall on the 3rd of April. So put it in your diary and make sure that you're free that night and come along. If you got any other appointments, just get rid of them. Because this will, you get so much more benefit from being in the presence of Genla Dekyong. Okay, so be there or be square. And have a wonderful Christmas. Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you back on Thursday the 9th of January. Yeah. Okay. Bye for now.